major push of the United States Department of Justice is to prosecute accounting fraud. Now, accounting fraud can be very complex. By its very nature, it deals with accounting concepts, accounting principles, a little more difficult for the government to prove than somebody going in and robbing a bank. But at least financially can be far more devastating. Accounting crime offenses have accounted for billions of dollars of fraud, and a single fraud case can involve literally billions of dollars of fraud. The two best known ones in the city of Houston are probably Enron and the Allen Stanford Ponzi scheme. And I had the pleasure of defending people that were involved in each of those investigations. Now, with respect to Enron, it basically boiled down to boosting up the books of Enron by claiming that certain ventures had a far greater value than they actually had. And it was really just paper profits. At least that's what the government's theory was, and as a practical matter turned out to be largely true. Orchestrated largely by Andy Fastow, Chief Financial Officer, and of course the CEO Ken Lay basically saying he didn't know anything about it. He was simply the PR man for the firm. Ultimately, the jury ended up rejecting that defense of Ken Lay, who passed away before the case was able to go up on appeal. The other big case was the Allen Stanford Ponzi scheme. And in that case, Stanford was selling certificates of deposit in Antigua and paying a higher rate of return that could be made on deposits in the U.S. And of course, that perhaps should have been a red flag to the investors, but yet extremely astute investors invested literally billions of dollars into this CD program. And the allegation was that in order to mislead these investors into believing that his firm was earning a high enough rate of return to pay the higher rate on these CDs, there were all kinds of accounting ploys that were allegedly employed, including just artificially boosting the revenues that didn't exist, claiming land had a much greater value than it had, and things of that nature. Ultimately, Allen Stanford and others were convicted. These crimes can be very serious. People don't always think about accounting fraud in the same terms of bank robbery, yet when you turn to the sentences, Allen Stanford received a sentence of 110 years, and as far as the losses, they were approximately $7 billion. Accounting fraud has become a major concern because to the extent that firms are falsely boosting the profits or misstating expenses or doing anything else to create a false financial picture of the company, all of the investors in the company stand to lose, all of the employees stand to lose, and literally thousands of people may lose literally their entire life savings. On the other hand, a lot of people get wrapped up in these cases that quite frankly had no clue that there was any kind of fraud being committed. And when the government casts its net, it casts a wide net, tries to bring in all the accountants, even some of the junior people, all the finance people, who oftentimes were duped just like the investors were duped. If you find yourself being the target of a financial fraud, or a government agent wishes to speak to you about an accounting fraud, you should not talk with them. You should tell them you want to talk with an attorney, and make sure that you retain the services of an attorney that is skilled in defending accounting fraud cases.